I got this crazy idea that I was going to write a paper about assessing the quality of open educational and resource-based wikis. The idea first came from when I was involved with a group of people and we were discussing the importance of open distance learning materials, particularly in the context of meeting the Millennium Development Goals and all the idea of a right to education. One thing that sort of really stood out for me in this is that just the sheer number of teachers that we're going to have working in the developing world if we want to provide everybody with an education. And it's not only that there's millions of kids that can't even get through to grade 7 because there isn't the materials or the resources or the people available. It's just that there's not even the teachers if they did end up showing up in a classroom. So we got to the point where I believed, hey, if we were to create open educational resources so that they could be downloadable for free or even printed out and given to people or however you get the materials into the kids' hands, could be on the $100 laptop, who knows. But the point being is that we needed a lot of content to be able to get into the hands of the kids so that they can start learning. So I ended up, fortunately, in a situation where I live in Vancouver, Canada, and this is where the head office of the Commonwealth of Learning is. And the Commonwealth of Learning is doing an incredible amount of work in trying to meet this need. They've got a wiki known as Wiki Educator, and they're spending a lot of time putting new curriculum up there. And the whole idea is that by 2015, we're going to have a complete curriculum there that's free. You can download it off the web. If you don't even have access, there's a way that we can get it printed and delivered to you. It's an awesome idea. So when I started getting involved with this, the main thing that struck me is that, this material needs to be of really good quality. So if this open educational resource is going to be successful, we got to make it quality material. So I kind of looked back on the 20 years that I have in developing software, and I said I've always been a great fan of the subscriptive nature of the Capability Maturity Model, or CMMI. It's very cool. It's a framework that puts together and you sort of look at the main qualities of what is good quality within the context, and you practice in a subscriptive way. It's not prescriptive in the sense it tells you what to do. You look at your context and you figure out what's best for you. So I started down my path. I started doing a lot of reading about just revisiting what is quality, where's the state of quality. And I said, whoa, I guess I got to think about what's educational quality. And I started reading a lot of papers about educational quality, and no shortage of writing in that area. So then I started to think about, well, if it's going to be in a wiki, aren't we thinking about the quality of information and writing and text and graphics and people's involvement? So I started doing a bunch of reading on information quality. And then I ended up reading about wiki quality, and that's when things got really cool. There's been a whole bunch of work but people have been looking at the way that wiki is put together, how it's the discussion pages, the content, how the change happens, how there's even dispute resolution, how you have people revising something and converting back and forth. It's an amazing how dynamic the wiki is, but what's really neat about the group collaboration that takes place in a wiki is that eventually, and particularly given the policies of the wiki software and the group that manages the wiki, is that you have to resolve your disputes. So all this information is also recorded in the database that sits behind the wiki. So this group out of IBM comes up with this piece of software called History Flow. And what they've done is they've harvested all the edits, the discussion pages, as much information they can about how a wiki page changes, and they've sucked all that out of the databases in the wiki and visualized it into a graphic display. And you take a look at that and you see the way a wiki page is changed. But the thing that's neat is when you look at the data and it's visualized, you can see sometimes it's really dynamic and there's a lot of change, and then sometimes it's totally stable. And the belief is, when you look at all the qualities of what is good quality, when the wiki page gets to the point where it's stabilized, you can consider that a certain level of quality. And when you start looking at Wikipedia, and this was the main source of where all the information came from, and you look at some of the high quality wiki pages that are within Wikipedia about subjects, and it's undisputable that some of the information there is pretty top quality. So that's where we ended up. I said to myself, hey, why don't I write a paper about educational quality, about information quality, and about how to determine the quality in a wiki, and put all that together and come up with a framework or something close to a framework, or maybe even just the next steps of how to come up with a framework. But at least I needed to start down the path. So I wrote a paper. And you know what I discovered? there's not a lot of information about the quality of open educational resource-based wikis. So maybe this will be the start. Let's see where it goes.